As we get older, the way our body responds to food changes in ways we don't always notice right away. That juicy piece of fruit you used to enjoy in your 30s might now leave you feeling unusually tired or sore. And over time, these small daily choices can quietly chip away at your leg strength. One of the most critical factors in staying independent and mobile in your senior years. We often hear that fruit is good for us, and that's true in the right context. But not all fruits work in our favor as we age. Some of the sweetest, most convenient options can actually disrupt blood sugar, trigger inflammation, and accelerate the loss of muscle and joint function. These hidden effects often go unnoticed until walking, climbing stairs, or simply rising from a chair becomes a daily struggle. The issue isn't the fruit itself, but how an aging body processes sugar, especially when that sugar is rapidly absorbed. Muscles need stable energy and low inflammation to stay strong. And when we eat certain high-sugar fruits too often, that balance is disturbed. The result is more than just a sugar crash. It's a cycle of weakness, poor recovery, and increased risk of falls. Let's walk through some of the most common culprits, and more importantly, understand how they affect us biologically and what smarter choices we can make instead. Take grapes, for example. They're small, juicy, and easy to snack on. But they carry a deceptively high glycemic index high. That means the sugar in grapes is absorbed very quickly, leading to a rapid blood sugar spike and crash. For seniors, especially those with insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, these swings can bring on muscle fatigue, weakness, and a sense of sluggishness. What's happening inside the body is revealing. When blood sugar spikes, your pancreas scrambles to release insulin. This repeated surge can overwork the system, making insulin less effective over time. As a result, less glucose reaches your muscle cells, leaving them underfueled, slower to repair, and more prone to fatigue. To make matters worse, these sugar surges activate pro-inflammatory pathways like NF-κB. Inflammation makes it harder for the body to rebuild muscle fibers after even basic physical activity. It also worsens joint stiffness and pain, both of which can sabotage your ability to stay active. And it doesn't stop there. Long-term inflammation contributes to conditions like sarcopenia, osteoarthritis, and chronic fatigue syndrome, all closely tied to leg strength. Mr. Sam, a 68-year-old retiree, noticed this pattern after years of daily grape snacking. Once he swapped them for strawberries and blueberries, lower in sugar and higher in fiber, his post-walk soreness eased, and his legs felt more stable. Even his blood sugar readings improved, reflecting a better balance. Mangoes are another delicious danger. Yes, they're rich in vitamins A and C, but also loaded with sugar, particularly fructose, which is metabolized differently from glucose. Unlike glucose, which muscles can use directly, fructose travels to the liver, where it gets converted into fat if consumed in excess. That extra burden on the liver can indirectly impact metabolic health, leading to fatigue and sluggish muscle function. In one clinical observation, elevated fructose intake was linked to higher circulating levels of IL-6, a key inflammation marker, and decreased myokines, beneficial proteins secreted by skeletal muscle that help reduce inflammation and promote repair. The result? Slower muscle recovery, more soreness after walking, and less stamina for daily tasks. Evelyn, 72, found this out firsthand. She loved mangoes during the summer, but eventually noticed her legs felt heavier, more tired. When her doctor advised her to shift toward apples and pears, fruits that release sugar more gradually, her energy and endurance improved within weeks. Bananas, often recommended for their potassium content, pose a similar challenge. When ripe, they have a relatively high GI, causing quick blood sugar spikes. And while potassium is essential for nerve signaling and muscle contraction, the high sugar load can counteract its benefits, especially when eaten alone, without fiber or protein to slow absorption. What's more, bananas contain serotonin precursors, which can have a mild sedative effect. That's not necessarily bad, but for someone trying to stay alert and active, it might contribute to daytime sluggishness, especially when combined with an energy dip from blood sugar fluctuation. In elderly adults with borderline blood glucose control, bananas may also raise the risk of insulin spikes, which impair the ability of muscles to draw in and use glucose for energy. Over time, this mismatch leads to wasting of muscle mass and slower recovery after any physical strain. Pineapple might seem like a healthier option, especially since it contains bromelain, an enzyme linked to anti-inflammatory effects. But in practical terms, the amount of bromelain in a typical slice isn't enough to counter the fruit's high sugar content and fast absorption rate. The sugar in pineapple can trigger joint stiffness and flare-ups of chronic inflammation, especially in people with arthritis or mobility challenges. And while it may offer vitamin C, it lacks the fiber and balance needed to maintain stable blood sugar in older adults. Excess sugar, even from natural sources, accelerates oxidative stress, which damages mitochondria, the very parts of muscle cells responsible for producing strength. Then there's watermelon, a fruit that's hydrating and refreshing, but high on the GI scale and low in fiber. Its sugars are absorbed rapidly, often causing reactive hypoglycemia, where blood sugar crashes shortly after spiking. The symptoms? Fatigue, dizziness, headaches, and muscle cramps. More than just thirst quenching, watermelon can disrupt the delicate electrolyte balance, especially sodium and potassium, needed for proper muscle contraction. This imbalance raises the risk of night cramps or weakness during physical activity, especially for those already on diuretic or blood pressure medications. Canned fruits in syrup, like peaches or pears, are essentially liquid sugar traps. Soaking them in syrup boosts their sugar content 3 to 5 times that of fresh fruit. Just a half cup can contain 20 to 25 grams of added sugar, the equivalent of several sugar cubes. That's enough to provoke an insulin spike, which over time leads to insulin resistance. And once insulin becomes less effective, the body's ability to build and repair muscle slows drastically. This contributes to muscle loss, weaker bones, and a higher risk of falls. Moreover, many canned fruits contain preservatives, like sodium benzoate and sulfur dioxide. These additives can exacerbate low-grade inflammation, affecting not just muscles, but also gut health and immune function, two areas closely tied to strength and resilience in aging. Dates and sweetened dried fruits like raisins or dried cranberries might seem nutrient-rich, but they are densely packed with sugar. Drying concentrates natural sugars, and manufacturers often add even more syrup. The result is a double metabolic hit, a rapid blood sugar spike, and a burst of inflammatory response. Over time, this damages collagen and connective tissue, weakening tendons and joints. That leads to reduced stability in the knees and ankles, increasing the likelihood of stumbles and falls. Barbara, a 69-year-old former social worker, used to snack on dried cranberries. But when she switched to fresh pears and berries, she felt less sore, more energized, and better balanced. Even her sleep improved, thanks to fewer nighttime cramps. So what should you do? You don't need to give up fruit, just choose smartly. Focus on fruits that are low GI, high in antioxidants, and rich in fiber. Think blueberries, green apples, black plums, pears, avocados, and mulberries. These fruits help stabilize blood sugar, fight inflammation, and support healthy mitochondria, the tiny engines in your muscle cells. They provide polyphenols like quercetin, catechins, and anthocyanins, which protect your muscles from oxidative stress. Fiber is key. It slows digestion, reduces sugar spikes, and feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which support immune and muscle health. Over time, this can improve joint lubrication, increase muscle recovery speed, and enhance your body's ability to handle daily movement without fatigue. Even a simple change, swapping 2 high-sugar fruits per day for 2 low GI ones, can result in lower inflammation markers, better insulin function, and greater endurance in as little as 2 to 4 weeks. To wrap up, remember, aging doesn't mean surrendering your favorites, but it does call for smart adjustments. Leg strength isn't just about exercise. It's also about what you feed your muscles, joints, and blood vessels every day. By choosing better fruits, you can ease joint pain, boost energy, and stay active longer. These small shifts in your fruit choices can make a big difference in your quality of life, helping you move with more confidence, sleep more soundly, and bounce back faster from activity. And if this article gave you something new to think about, share it with someone you love. Don't forget to follow for more gentle, science-based guidance to keep your body moving strong, one smart bite at a time.